Hi everyone, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be reacting to a TikTok. So we'll watch it together and then I will share my thoughts per usual, wasting no time, getting right into it.
You want a rich husband with a provider mentality, but you're $10,000 in debt, you have no personality, and you listen to the wrong people for dating advice. Stop thinking that you're going to have a rich man fall into your lap when you use Afterpay to buy everything. You have nothing in your savings and you're always falling behind on your bills. Get your shit together. Don't ask of something from someone when you can't even provide that for yourself. You want a rich husband, but you're financially illiterate. Make that make sense. Get a personality. These rich men that you want are really smart, are very literate, and have amazing personalities. And remember, guys can see through you a lot more than you think. So if you're faking a personality, it's gonna be very transparent. And last but not least, stop listening to the wrong woman for dating advice. Some people really just want to see your downfall. A lot of these people tell you that men are evil, all men are cheaters, you can never trust anyone. I get it. You had a traumatic experience. Go to therapy and get the fuck over it. Be careful who you trust with the things that are very important and intimate to you, like dating advice, because remember that salt and sugar look the same.
All right, that was pretty blunt, to the point. Delivery was a little harsh, I think some of you will think, but if we look past that, there's a good amount to unpack here. So the main thing that I sort of noticed with this is this idea of entitlement. I think this video really zeroed in on women, of course, wanting a rich man while not having their own financial life together. And while I absolutely agree that responsibility and accountability are important, I want to add a little bit of nuance here, as I always do. Now, correct me if I'm off base in the comments, guys, but from my experience, men usually don't actually care about a woman's income necessarily. I don't think they're sitting there judging your salary the way that a lot of women do with men. Now, what they probably care about more is whether you're responsible or not with what you have. Are you managing your life? Are you going to add stress or reduce it? Peace or chaos? Big difference there. So the real issue is not necessarily your income. I think it's your habits and your mindset and your, grandiose expectations. And I'll also say this, I think men and women typically look for different things in relationships, and I personally don't think that should be a controversial thing to say. Like, I know that always stirs stuff up, and for the life of me, I just really don't understand. Of course, there's overlap, but it's okay that we tend to look for different things in a relationship. Men and women are different. Mind-blowing. And I think this also ties into a bigger problem today, which I talk about a good amount on my channel, which is, of course, social media. I think a lot of the entitlement that we're seeing comes from constantly seeing highlights of perfect lives, perfect relationships, perfect partners. People start thinking, well, I deserve that too, without putting in the same amount of effort or even knowing what effort is required to have that. They forget that relationships are about mutual value, effort, and growth, not just these instant results. It doesn't work like that. And I think this is just setting people up for constant disappointment and incredibly unrealistic expectations. I also want to touch on something that this video didn't fully address or really address at all, which is the whole goal of just being with a rich man in general is really unhealthy. Men bring more to a relationship than just money. He's not your ATM. He's a human being. And sometimes we forget that a part of dating is building a life together. Men are figuring things out too. This is their first time living. They're growing in their careers. They're learning how to manage their finances. They're building friendships and relationships and navigating life. I think as women, and I see this a lot online, we expect men to just have it all figured out. And if your only filter is rich or not rich, you are missing the bigger picture. If you dismiss a guy because he isn't already at the finish line, you might miss out on someone who is loyal, hardworking, genuinely growing. Relationships are about building with someone, not just selecting someone who already has it all figured out. I think this is actually a pretty damaging approach, and I wish women would stop consuming this type of content. I see it all the time online, and I've reacted to videos like this before. I've talked about it before on my channel. I've interviewed women on what their expectations are for men. I don't want to cause more of a divide or add to this clash between men and women, but I do think a lot of the time we have incredibly unrealistic expectations on finances and income and everything sort of surrounding those categories. I mean, if you look at the average income in the United States, I think we would all be pretty humbled and brought back down to earth a little bit. So perhaps that's a nice exercise to try if you're someone who is stuck in that fairy tale, unrealistic bubble. The reason I even bring this up is because there are so many people making videos and content creators who specifically base their entire platform on dating rich men, only date rich men. They tell women that you should never date a man unless he makes this amount of money and he has this and he buys you this and he takes you here. And I just think it is incredibly damaging and unrealistic. And I think we all need to come back down to earth a little bit because it's getting out of control. And a lot of the time, the women who are making that content are phonies and fakes to begin with. So yes, I agree. Be careful where you get your dating advice. Even if you're a man watching, I just think it is so important to be mindful of the content that you're consuming and the people that you're following. I will say the point she made about personality was fair. I think looks and money can only get you so far. Personality, authenticity, humor, character, that's what sustains a relationship. Being genuine, having your own interests, being someone who people actually enjoy being around and not being a miserable brat is important. And again, as I mentioned, I couldn't agree with her more when it comes to listening to the wrong people online. I think social media is full of creators who profit off of keeping you bitter or hopeless, both men and women included, telling women that all men cheat or men that all women are manipulative. And that's just not true. Anytime I see people going to extremes all the time, it's like consistent black and white thinking, leaving absolutely no room for nuance, especially with something as nuanced as relationships and human behavior. Red flag. Content creator, red flag. This kind of content just keeps people stuck and encourages these unrealistic expectations that we keep seeing time and time again. I think supportive advice challenges you to grow, even if it stings a little bit. And again, as I said, the content you consume is important, and I try to stress this to you guys whenever I possibly can. So to sum all this up, relationships are partnerships. No one is owed love, money, or commitment without putting in effort. Successful men aren't looking for a paycheck. They're looking for a woman who is responsible, authentic, someone who adds value, someone who brings peace and not chaos. And the entitlement, unrealistic expectations, and obsession with superficial things like money and designer items are what keep so many people stuck in dating, specifically women, I will say. We don't even need to say people. I'm going to say women in this scenario. And at the same time, I think we need to give men a little bit of grace and not forget that they're human too. They're learning and growing, and relationships at the end of the day are about building a life together. Again, not just grabbing someone at the finish line and reaping the benefits of all of that without putting in any effort. There is so much beauty in building together as a couple, and I think we have really lost sight of that. We've lost the plot. So I hope this video makes us all come back down to reality. Focus on your own personal growth, your personality, your habits, and I think, people who are good for you and who you are aligned with will sort of just naturally come to you. I could rant forever, so that's all I'm going to say, but I want to hear from you. Have you seen entitlement show up in your dating experiences? In others, of course, but also maybe in yourself. Maybe we can take a moment of self-reflection and be really honest with ourselves here and say, I think I'm being a little unrealistic when it comes to what I'm looking for. I would just love to hear from you guys down in the comments if you're open to sharing per usual. If you like this video or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you haven't already, also be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with you guys over on there as well. And if you have a video you want me to react to, please send it my way. You can tag me over on TikTok. That's probably the easiest way that I'll see it. You could also email me, but tagging me directly in the video comments over on TikTok is definitely the easiest thing. So always love getting content directly from you guys to react to. But as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.